Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. It's the In Wheel Time car talk show. Just ahead, well, we're going to talk about the benefits of dyno testing and tuning, you and I. Right. I don't know about them, but we are.
I'm going to play Pac-Man.
We're going to have the upcoming events calendar and this week's Auto News headlines just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. We had a guest lined up for this segment to talk about dyno tuning, testing, and
it's not working out.
You're way too nice.
Well, I try to be.
They haven't showed up yet. They may show up while we're talking about this, and that'll be great.
So I've never had the Corvette on a dyno. I've seen some horrible things happen.
Oh, yeah.
On a dynamometer.
Oh, with stuff blow up?
Yeah.
Or better yet, the car comes untethered and shoots through the wall. Yeah. I've seen those.
Those are bad.
They're real bad.
Or the ones I watch are the diesels. You know, they're rolling coal, and all of a sudden something pops, and everything goes, and people are diving under stuff.
Thermal events.
They know there's shrapnel coming out afterwards.
So, first of all, let's establish how a dynamometer works.
Okay.
It's a wheel in the floor and that you drive your car on, whether it's front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive.
Or four-wheel drive. There are four-wheel drive dynos.
Okay. And it puts a drag on the engine, but it also, when it does that, it also measures torque, horsepower,
speed,
all of those things.
You've hooked into
RPMs.
You've hooked into the computer of the car so you can monitor RPM, air-fuel ratio, temperatures, all kinds of stuff, everything that the computer on the car measures.
If you have a computer in the car, if you've got an old school that doesn't have all of that.
But there's ways to hook up to the car to gather that information.
Right. And so they actually have dyno days. Car clubs will go to somebody that's got a dynamometer, and one by one they'll put their cars on there for usually a minimum fee. Because
$30, $40, $50.
Right. As opposed to you just taking it over there and for
$100.
For $400 or whatever they want to charge to put it on the dyno. And you hopefully have somebody that knows what they're doing, that can sit in the driver's seat, run it through the gears, and also have a laptop in their lap. They can say, okay, well, we're going to add some more fuel. We're going to take away some fuel. We can adjust the timing. We can all do this in the mapping of the computer that is in the car.
Trying to push that horsepower and torque number up within the safe parameters of
and find the sweet spot for the motor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is it really pushing the horsepower and torque up?
Could you move your microphone closer?
Oh, absolutely.
For performance, or can you say I want more performance or I want more economy?
Yeah.
More
you tell them what you want, and
okay.
they can tune to it.
Yeah.
Tune to what you want to do.
And for me personally, I think I'd like to have a nice balance between fuel economy and horsepower.
Giddy up.
You
don't think Greg did a tune on that?
He says that he did, but I don't know what he did.
Do you have headers?
No, it does not have headers.
Okay, but you do have a cold air intake.
I have a cold air intake and a catback exhaust.
Okay. And all of that, any change that you make to the car
affects.
A tune would affect the output of the car, and a tune could make that, a dynamometer tune could make that change you made, cold air intake, catback exhaust, more effective. So if you put headers on it, now all of a sudden the car flows air better. So headers and an intake and a camshaft, you need to get a tune after you do that, because now you have to adjust the air-fuel mixture to the airflow going through the engine, because the engine's basically an air pump. Air goes in, air comes out, and a loud bang in the middle, that's the power. So you're going to make adjustments to how all of that works in timing and air-fuel ratio to get the maximum output of it. Or in Mike's case, maybe you're looking for fuel economy. When you look at some of these bolt-on tuners, and I'm going to talk maybe diesel more than anything else, on those bolt-on tuners, generally there's a selectable tune that you can go to. You can go to I'm towing, you can go to I want max horsepower, you can go to I want max fuel economy, or you can go to standard. So within that you can switch the tune around, and on cars they can do the same thing. Sometimes it's a matter of plugging into the ALDL connector, the diagnostic connector, and swapping tunes in and out of the car for what you're looking to do. The tune you would have to drag race your Corvette would be different than the tune you would have to run at COTA. So there's all those variables involved where you're going to really have to have a good conversation with the guy with the laptop and what he's doing.
Yeah.
And when you watch NHRA, like at Pro Stock with Erica or any of those Pro Mod guys that run, they're in there adjusting
Sportsman.
Yeah, they're in there adjusting spark, 1 degree at 1 second, another 2 degrees at 4 seconds.
Not only
because
that,
they realize how that advances the car depending on the atmospheric conditions.
The timing of the shifting of the pneumatics, the air blow for the trans, that's all set in there as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago I was covering an event out at Baytown, and I walked through the starting area, and the guys were sitting in the cars with their laptops, and they were talking to their tuner remotely. Okay, here's what I got. Here's what I'm showing. And they were basically tuning their car as they pulled up into the stage.
Let's just use trucks here for a moment, because I know on trucks that most of them anyway, that late models, they have a thing called tow mode. Mm-hmm. Is it strictly transmission, or does it also change the parameters in the motor when you stick it in the tow mode?
Early on, tow mode was strictly transmission.
Right, it'd keep it from going into overdrive.
And more recently, they've gone in, and tow mode has an engine component as well as a transmission component to it. And in some of them, it even does engine braking. So the transmission, as you tap the brake as you're going downhill, the transmission's going to downshift so that you've got engine braking going on, as well as the ability to tow more. Early on, it was really just later upshifts. They raised the pressure in the transmission. But the more recent, I'm going to say more recent, 2015, 17 and up, it's a much more integrated system that is managing the engine performance, timing, air-fuel ratio, and the transmission performance.
Yeah. Well, I know that the dynamometer is a wonderful tool if you're really a true engine guy and you want to tweak it for whatever it is that you're going to do. And even in a family car, let's just say the family truckster, you got to go on the vacation and you want to get the maximum fuel economy that you can. You really don't care about, you do, but I mean, as far as acceleration is concerned, you're really not too concerned about the performance, if you will,
max
of the
RPMs
car.
and all
You're
that.
all strictly nothing but fuel economy. You can go to a dyno tuner and have him tune that car. Now, let me ask you this. Isn't there something that you can plug into the port, the computer port, that you can have like program A and program B?
That's what I was just talking about when you plug into the ALDL connector, the diagnostic connector for the car, which is the same shape connector,
is it OBT?
regardless. The OBT2 connector. It's the same shape connector for everybody's car, but you still have to have the right program in there so your car can read it.
So this is kind of
you
like,
could swap out A and put it in the box and put in B. So if you're wanting performance, you could put A in it. If you're wanting
so
fuel
I could do that
economy,
with the Corvette.
yeah, you could. I don't know that you would, but you could. Yes. Now, when we talk about dyno tuners, you got to remember there's multiple facets of what the guy is doing. He's got the dynamometer, so he's got the big heavy wheels that they put your car on top of. And it's not just a matter of putting your car on top of it. You have to literally strap the car down properly, because, if your Corvette's going to put out 350, 400 horsepower. So you have to make sure that this car stays in place as they're accelerating the car.
It's like a child sitting in the doctor's office getting a shot for the first time. Now, hold still, little Timmy. It's going to hurt just a little.
I'd say it's more like a race car driver in a NASCAR car, because they're going to strap the front of the car down, they're going to strap the back of the car down, and they want that car to stay in place regardless of what's going on.
Well, just the inertia, the back wheels turning to turn the wheels that pick up all the data and stuff, that it creates that resistance. If it changes, that car launches.
Right. Well, and I've been to some dyno days and I've been one of them who will sit in the trunk or on the trunk to get enough weight on the car, because you're talking 700, 800, 900 horsepower cars that when they whack the throttle, the tires spin on the dyno. So you got to put some extra weight on it so it spins the drum of the dynamometer and not spins the tire on top of it. So yeah, there's a lot of aspects. So it's not just the dyno, but then he's got to have the tuner that fits your vehicle, because an LS motor tuner is going to be different than a Coyote motor tuner. That's going to be different than a Hemi motor tuner. That's going to be different than an Audi or Mercedes tuner.
I need an LS tuner, an LS1 tuner.
Yep. Well, and that's actually quite popular.
So there's actually,
out there.
I guess, almost like a specialist.
Yeah.
So you'd have to know
somebody that's an LS specialist.
Yeah, you'd have to understand how your adjustment affects the output numbers. The output numbers being the dynamometer is going to measure basically horsepower and torque.
Right, but if you go back to the concept we were talking about, where a motor is basically an air pump, you put air in, you put fuel in, you put spark in, and make the explosion. I mean, that's the same basic process to all of them.
But it's the timing of all of it, and it's the volume of all of it. So you can put in more air and make the engine go lean and create a problem. You can put in more fuel and make the engine go rich, which is going to drive the numbers down. You can adjust the timing forward or back to create more power or to create less power. But there's also a point where you can make huge mistakes and melt something down. So you put too much timing advance in it and you make it run too lean, and then things get too hot and you start melting pistons.
Burn holes.
But there is a line that you want to get to that you just don't want to cross, because ultimately an engine is designed to run at stoichiometric 14.6 to 1 air-fuel ratio is the optimum. But when you're trying to create more power, you may go a little bit richer. When you're tuning a turbo motor, you're going to make some changes. When you're tuning a nitrous motor, you're going to make big changes as well, because different engines that take in oxygen different ways, whether through forced air from turbo supercharging or nitrous through the liquid of the nitrous oxide.
Yeah, you still got to get your fuel.
You still have to have the fuel ratio correct.
So let me ask you this: going back to the over-the-counter tuners that you can buy and plug in. So are they, to the best of your knowledge, that's kind of like a generic program?
Mm-hmm.
That and so it's not going to be quite like going to a tuner that's going to get very specific for your particular vehicle.
Correct. And if you've got a stock Camaro, and it's got an LS3 in it, there are some very good plug-and-play programmers out there that you could plug into it.
Okay.
But once you start making adjustments to it, putting cold air intake on it, putting an intake manifold on it, maybe a camshaft, a set of headers, now the plug-and-plays don't work. You have to go to somebody who's going to be able to read the data, the air-fuel mixture, read the timing, read the output, and make those adjustments before and after each dyno.
The plug and play is going to be based on the default specifics of that engine, and you change them, and it's no longer any good.
It's like buying the vanilla ice cream. It's a plug and play that they've kind of generic made it for your particular motor, but it's not specific to the weight of my car, the aerodynamics of my car.
headers.
It's
the
the 50
atmospheric conditions of the day.
It's the 50,000-foot view rather than drilling down to the lower.
Is there an advantage to
Yes.
it? Yes. The correct thing, the most
Efficient.
performance, most
Yeah.
efficient way is to go to somebody who can tune it.
Yeah.
But they're going to have a big investment in equipment. You know, those dynos are a couple of $100,000 a piece, and some of that tuning stuff is $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for the computer and
programs.
the programmers.
That's why I'm thinking $400 or $500 at least.
Isn't a bad fee to
Well, but the
get
equipment,
more.
the knowledge that the tuners learned and got,
Got it.
training,
Well,
wherever you got it from.
It's like I've said before, when you go to a shop, you pay for three things: parts, labor, and knowledge. And a lot of times that knowledge is very, very valuable, and that's really what you want to make sure you're going to somebody who knows
So
what
do
they're
you know
doing
somebody
and knows how
that
they're doing.
does LS1s like
Oh
that?
yeah, there's lots of people in town.
You-
LMR would be one here in town. I would think would be.
down in Westheimer?
Are they on
I
Westheimer?
don't know.
Late model racing. Yeah, they're pretty well known here in town. There's a number of them. I'll get a couple of them for you.
Okay.
Find out who's
Yeah,
out
do
here
that.
and who's
Yeah.
nearby.
It'll
like
be
to do
interesting
that.
to see what it does for your
But
car.
to me too is what kind of dyno do they have? What do they focus on? I'm a believer in, if you're going to be tuning your Corvette, you want somebody who focuses on LS motors. If you're going to be tuning a Mercedes, you want somebody who focuses on Mercedes. Somebody who does a little bit of everything might not be an expert in your thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I kind of believe in finding the expert in your thing to do
Would
your
you
work.
be able to dyno an EV?
Oh, good question. I would imagine so. You got to think, when you look at some of these guys that are drag racing EVs, some of the way that they get more power out of the battery, and I remember we had the Ford guy on who was
Yep.
talking about the EV Cobra Jet,
Mm-hmm.
and he said they heat the battery. They bring the battery up to a certain temperature before the car goes on track, which would be making tuning it
Yeah.
to get the most out of the battery. But I would imagine so. I don't know. I would think
It's
there's
just
got to be a
something,
way a way to do that.
Because they're involved in NHRA now with
Yeah.
all that. So
Before we wrap this up, I was wondering, like my truck, the 2015 Ram,
Mhm.
5.7 Hemi. I mean, I one of these days I'm going to change the exhaust on it, but otherwise, would a tune benefit something like that? Because
Yes.
it's not performance like Don's Corvette.
No, but from my perspective of it, your truck is tuned from the factory to do a multitude of things: haul, tow,
Right.
and to get relatively good gas mileage, which inherently it doesn't. But you could probably adjust all of that since you don't tow anything. Take that aspect of the tune
and
away.
Tune it for fuel economy, but your lead foot would have an effect on that.
Well, I understand that, but
I would think, just as an outsider looking in, correct me if I'm wrong, you could probably do more service to your motor by having it tuned for fuel mileage, by putting also a Can-N filter on it and maybe some catback exhaust. I'm not familiar with truck exhaust, but to make it flow a little bit better, and then tune it for fuel economy, because you don't tow anything,
nope.
and you haul very little.
I did for the radio
As
show.
far
For
as
us,
yeah,
that's
but
it.
as far as that's not really big hauling.
No, that's not a
You're
lot
not
of weight.
hauling a lot of weight. So yeah, again, it's a matter of talking to who's doing the tuning and telling them what your expectations are, so that they can.
Does
do
his
a
have
tune.
cylinder deactivation?
Yeah, I
It
asked him
does.
about it before, and he said
It does.
yes. And you'll see some tuners will turn that off.
Well,
You
and
know-
I've seen some guys on some of the forums. What they'll do is they'll take it out of the automatic shift and put it into the manual shift when you get into 8th gear, and lock it into that 8th gear, and that it deactivates the
Cylinder
deactivation process.
deactivation.
I can't. I mean, it runs better. I can't tell it does anything to gas or fuel economy, but it definitely runs better.
What kind of gas mileage do you get in that thing?
If I'm driving
13?
normally, it'll run 16, 17.
It's not bad.
And
On the highway.
Yeah, on the highway. And if I've got the cruise working and I'm taking it easy and trying to, I can get 20. But I got to work at it to do
I
that.
told you when I did the Hot Rod Power Tour, we were all in a great big huge line of cars. I got almost 30 miles per gallon in that Corvette. 30 in the Corvette.
I totally believe that with the 6-speed because you've got 2 overdrive gears.
Yep.
And along with that is that engine has a lot of torque. You got to remember, go back to what my piece was earlier about Conrad's Corner was, engines are designed for low RPM, high torque situations for the fuel specific brake horsepower. And that's where you were because you guys weren't driving fast places.
No.
You might have had moments of accelerating hard, but that 6-gear cruise set thing or that 6-gear soft foot, your car loves that. And that's where they get the fuel economy.
Yeah,
out
at
of
60 miles an hour, I think it's like 1,500 RPM. It's just idling,
it.
really.
Right.
All right, time now for the events calendar, and I know that you have something exciting for us.
Well, big exciting thing is 2 weeks from now on June 19th at Tailpipes and Tacos at Loopy Tortillas off of Kingsland. Starts at 8 in the morning.
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago, 2 weeks from now. And tonight is Nifty 50s up in the Woodlands, the Kima Car Meet. And as well as tomorrow night is classic cars at Brazoria County, cruise in at Luby's down in Lake Jackson. Also tonight is the Brookshire Brothers cruise in Montgomery, Texas, and that's just a cruise in. Everything's free. Tonight at 7 p.m. is the Dayton Cruisers Weekly Street Meet out in Dayton, Texas. Tonight at 6 p.m. is the Splendora Car Meet in Splendora on FM 2090 in Splendora. It's going to be easy to find because Splendora is not that big. Tomorrow is the Woodlands Coffee and Cars for a Cause, and we know we have Randy on all the time talking about that, and that's always a good event to go to, and they always draw in some real big, cool-looking cars, and that starts at 6:30 a.m. and goes to 10:30 a.m. at Six Pines Drive in the Woodlands. Also tomorrow is Classic Cars and Coffee and Donuts at the Whitehall Cafe in Navasota, Texas. Tomorrow is Cars and Coffee at Noe's Cafe on Spring Stubner. And then right out here at
Chrome and Coffee.
Chrome and Coffee is tomorrow.
Yeah, at
the Avalon
Diner.
Yep.
which is basically Highway 90 and
59. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
And so, I'm planning on going.
Yeah, me
getting up
too.
in the morning and washing the car and taking. You
Is-
going to take
is-
the Cadillac?
Yeah, probably.
Does
Well,
Craig show up?
Absolutely.
It's his
Does he bring
event.
different
Oh, yeah.
What does
toys
he
with him each
bring?
time?
Oh my gosh. Oh,
It depends because he's brought all of his cars, including
the bus.
Oh,
the
has he brought
bus,
the bus?
he's, everything. Yeah.
The Ford GT?
His daughter brought her new Porsche. Didn't you have a Porsche?
Yeah. Brand new Porsche
Oh, my God.
race car.
GT.
A 32-point turn to back it in. It was great.
Was that?
Snaked it in.
Yeah.
It was great.
Anyway. All right. Mr. Mars has a feature for us.
I started talking. I keep hearing all these people talk about we're going to go to EVs. We're going to outlaw all the ICE engines, by in 5 years, 10 years, wherever. And I just kind of started wondering, how feasible is that? And we've talked to a lot of guests have talked about the details of it. But I just, at a little bit higher level, I found a few things that I thought were interesting. Like there are over 1 billion cars in the world right now, estimated. In 2021, there's over 1 billion cars out there. Now, if you look at that, we're making like 70 million cars every year. And if EVs are even 5%, which they're not, then, that's 3.5 million. So the ICE cars are outrunning just from a production level, like 10-1 on the EVs. So they're going to increase. I understand that, but I can't do the statistics. I only got 10 fingers and toes. But, and in
No,
8
you don't.
years.
Right now you got 15.
Yeah, I know. It's
I thought you
I
had
think-
6 toes on your left foot.
No, that one's gone. I had to have it off. You said the Buick was going to be totally electric in 2030.
Yeah.
So that's like 8 years from now. So in 8 years from now, we'll have made 560 million cars
Worldwide.
worldwide.
I have
So,
to question those numbers.
You're talking
It's-
like 32 million
lot.
EVs.
Well,
at
we
5%.
sell generally 17 million here in the United,
Here in the United
States,
States
a
every
year.
Right.
Yeah.
Think about that.
And that moves up and down.
Those are old
Right.
figures. They're not selling that many now.
No, but that's on average.
That was in 2021. There was a
Okay.
lot of value out there. It takes a while to pull all these statistics together. So that got me into looking at some other things that were going on. Like I found out, unbeknownst to me, that the average U.S. driver spends 42 hours per week stuck in traffic. I mean, that's 2 days in a year that you spend in traffic. And Washington, D.C. actually has the worst traffic in that drivers wait 82 hours a year in traffic. So you talk about snarl up there in the government.
Well, they accomplish nothing
exactly.
when they get to work, so why should they get to work
they're not
early?
in a hurry.
They do have a lot of roundabouts up there.
And I also found out it's estimated that 18% of American drivers know how to drive a manual transmission.
Watch out for Paul Pelosi.
Meaning 72% can't drive a manual transmission.
Katie and I can.
Exactly. So
But
you're part of that.
All four in my family can. Angie
Part of
can.
that 18%. And there's also, it says that there was over 30,000 unique parts in an automobile, which means that 80% of the average car can be recyclable. So 12 million vehicles a year are recycled every year, which makes automotive recycling, the 16th largest industry in the country.
Okay, all right, makes sense.
Yeah, but it's one of those things you don't really see a lot. You know, it's there.
Well, they got them all hidden behind great big huge
Fences.
Exactly. But there's a lot of it out there. And it's also estimated that a car spends 95% of its lifetime parked.
Yep.
Even though passenger vehicles consume 359 million gallons of gas per day in the United States.
Per day. Wow. Let's see, times $4.59. That's a buttload of money.
It is a buttload of money. How
Strap
much
it
did you
down.
pay this week?
$4.59.
You got 30
I
seconds.
still got support. Okay. The world's fastest record for removing an engine is 42 seconds. Volkswagen owns 12 car brands, but it is not the largest. Toyota has sold 43 million Toyota Corollas since 1966, making it the best-selling car of all time.
Woohoo. I'd believe that.
Just some
Statman.
Weird stuff that I found.
Statman.
Statman.
The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 at iHeart.com and
Bang.
through the
Boom.
iHeart app.
Zowie.
Just look for the In-Wheel Time Car Talk.
Wowie.
Hubba.
We also stream. No, we don't do any of that. We're going off the air. We'll be right back.
Father's Day weekend, Saturday, June 18th, 2022. It's the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, and you're invited. Tailpipes and Tacos Father's Day edition will be at the same Loopy Tortilla in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. on Saturday, June 18th. It's the only place cruisers compete for trophies and other prizes. Enter your vehicle for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise-in and is your opportunity to see the best hot rods, show cars, classics, and resto mods, and get Loopy Tortilla breakfast tacos and adult beverages. There's no entry fee, and cars will automatically compete for custom Loopy trophies and other prizes. It all happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Kick off summer with Tailpipes and Tacos Father's Day edition, Saturday, June 18th. The In Real Time Car Talk Show will be there too. Celebrate Father's Day, the start of summer, and the return of Tailpipes and Tacos. Saturday morning, June 18th, 8 to 11. We'll see you then, weather permitting. Want to take a minute to tell you about Gulf Coast Auto Shield, a Houston detail company like no other. Gulf Coast Auto Shield offers paint correction services that'll give your car, truck, or SUV a like-new shine. Afterwards, you'll want to protect it with a professionally installed nano-ceramic coating or protection film. Worried about your very expensive windshield getting damaged, broken, or cracked? Let Gulf Coast Auto Shield install Exo Shield, a windshield protection film. Give John Gray a call today or check out their website, gcautoshield.com. Hey, whether you own a new, ultra-expensive, exotic, or a 5-year-old Suburban, Gulf Coast Auto Shield will help keep your investment looking like the day it rolled off the assembly line. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is conveniently located on the South Sam Houston Parkway, just south of I-69, the Southwest Freeway. Meet the staff and check out all of their services online right now at gcautoshield.com. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is now part of the iHeart family. Now you'll have access to 24/7 Car Talk anytime you need a fix. Just download the iHeart Radio app and ask for In-Wheel Time Car Talk, and there we are. Be sure to save us in your iHeart library for instant access. No matter where you are, you have the best Car Talk show right on your PC, laptop, or mobile device and never have to worry about finding us again. Of course, you can always get access to our video and audio streams via InWheelTime.com and your favorite podcast channel, and all of this is free to you. From the iHeart Radio app, you'll not only hear our Saturday morning live show, but the best shows of the past, updated weekly. Never miss a minute of up-to-date new car reviews, pre-owned reviews, Conrad's Car Clinic, informative interviews, automotive news, and the most fun car talk show on the planet. Just download the iHeart Radio app, search for In-Wheel Time Car Talk, save it to your library, and with a tap of the icon, you'll be in touch with your favorite Car Talk team. In-Wheel Time Car Talk, streaming now on iHeart.com/In-Wheel Time Car Talk. That's it for this podcast episode of the In-Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.